So, hello everybody. Welcome to this week's. Not going to be a Meshekh Chokhmah shir. I'm actually speaking this weekend at the Musar, and I did not have time to prepare everything. So it ended up being that there's very little Meshekh Chokhmah, even less than usual, in in this week's shir. So the parsha opens. This is Perek Lamed Zayin Pasuk Aleph, the first pasuk. Vayeishev Yaakov Beretz Megurei Aviv Beretz Canaan. So Yaakov dwells, settles down. Vayeishev is to sit or to be still in the land where his ancestors were. Megurei is also Lagur is also to live somewhere, but there's a difference in connotation because a ger is a stranger. So Megurei is a resident, but it could also be a resident alien. Whereas Vayeishev is to settle down, and that is sort of the point of the Rashi that we're going to go to. But let's first finish the pasuk. Vayeishev Yaakov beretz Megurei Aviv. So Yaakov settled down into the land where his father had sojourned beretz Canaan, in the land of Canaan. So Rashi quotes Parashas Rabbah. Rabbeinu Bechaye also quotes Parashas Rabbah, the same medrash, and the medrash says, Rashi says, "Vod nidrishbo." So this is his second thought. We're not looking at his first thought. Vayeshev, he dwelled. B'jei Yaakov leishev b'shalva. Yaakov wanted to live at ease. Kafat to love rogzo shel Yosef. So then all the trouble with connection to Yosef, the sale of Yosef took over. Tzadikim, so in general statement now, the Medrash is saying, Tzadikim avakshim leishev b'shalva. When tzadikim choose to dwell peacefully, Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Hashem says, Lo dayan tzadikim, is it not enough for a tzadik mashem esukan lahen l'olam haba, everything that's prepared for them in olam haba, elish mevakshim leishev b'shalva b'olam hazeh, that they also want to live at ease in this world too? So I have two questions about this pasuk. The first one is, what's so terrible about peace and quiet? We all want peace and quiet. Why is the Medrash accusing the tzaddik as though they did something wrong because they want to settle down in peace and tranquility? In fact, Yaakov is trying to settle down in Eretz Canaan, in the land that was going to end up sharing his name. So it's very strange that there'd be a problem with the idea that they want to settle down. So, I don't know who's on, but Aishi checked in. So I'm about to tell Aishi I'll probably whatever. My youngest son Shubi and I. So we go to shul for Shacharis weekday mornings. We've been doing this for 7 years now, ever since Shubi started putting on tefillin. Now Shubi, again, the only person I know watching this right now is Aishi, but Shubi has downs. So when we put on tefillin, I have to wind the tefillin for him. He doesn't have the 3D perception down to figure out how to wind tefillin. He doesn't have the fine motor skills. So one morning, right, we have a conversation, and he decided that I was the boss. So I asked him, what kind of boss am I? He says, you're the boss of tefillin. So I explained, I didn't make up tefillin. Hashem made up tefillin. It wasn't my idea. I tried thinking of ways to explain to him what tefillin was, how it relates to Hashem and all that. I really couldn't do it very well, not on the level he could understand. Now, there's a famous story by Rabbi Pesach Krohn, or at least it's told by Rabbi Pesach Krohn, about a boy named Shaya who also had, a lower intellectual capacity. And Shaya went to a school called Chush, and Shaya's father was asked to speak at the school dinner. Pretty famous story. So allegedly, Shaya's father asked the audience at this dinner, "Where's the perfection in my son Shaya? Hashem makes everything in the world with a chance to be perfect. So where is Shaya's perfection? He'll never remember facts and figures the way other children do, right? He can't understand things the way other children do. He can't even run the way other children do." So the audience was shocked by the question, right? But they understood the father's pain. And he explained that one Sunday afternoon, Shai and his father went to Darchei Torah just as his classmates were playing baseball. Game was in progress. And as Shai and his father made their way to the ball field, Shai said, "Do you think you could get me into the game?" Well, the boy looked at his friends. "We're losing by 6 runs. You know what? Let's let him play." So they let him play, and this is the title line. Shia rounds third. He's running into home. They let him get a hit. They let him run to home. And when he reaches home plate, the boys from both teams picked him up, carried him. Yay, grand slam, like he was the biggest hero, like he was Sandy Koufax not playing at Yoke. Okay, bad example. That day, the father allegedly said, those 18 boys reached their level of perfection. They showed that not only should we recognize the talented, but also those who have less talent. Everybody's a human being. Everybody has feelings and emotions. Everyone's a person. Everyone wants to feel important. The story bothered me, and I was happy to see that Barbara Mickelson from Snopes had a similar problem. Barbara has the woman who runs Snopes has a sibling who has Downs. And both she and I had the same observation. The problem with the story is that he never actually finds value in his son. He finds value in the way his son could bring value out of other children, secondhand. But he never actually finds value in his own son's story. So I was kind of happy to learn that Mrs. Mickelson did a little research, could not find a single chush dinner in which this story was told, and it's just a nice inspirational story. We don't actually have to worry about a boy named Shaya out there whose father doesn't understand their value. Now, we all are limited people. I mean, if you want to talk about memory, we could compare, my memory to, let's say, Rabbi Sachs, who's one of the rabbanim in the neighborhood, who happens to have an idiotic memory. He cannot forget. He's incapable of forgetting. You want to talk IQ? Well, compare my IQ to the Vilna Gaon's IQ. You want to talk about compassion? Well, we could look at the Chavetz Chaim's compassion. We could look at social workers in our neighborhood who chose to earn less money because, they're driven by compassion to help others. We all have limitations. The only difference between a Shaya or a Shubi and ourselves is the degree to which we're limited. It's all quantitative, right? This is what we say in the morning in davening, assuming you wake up early enough that you can say all of Karbanos. Ma'anachnu, what are we? Ma'chayenu, what's our lives? Ma'chastenu, what's our loving kindness? Ma'tzidkosenu, what's our righteousness? Ma'yishenu, what is our ability to save? Ma'kochenu, what's our strength? Ma'gvurasenu, what's our heroism? What could we possibly say in front of you, Hashem, our God? Because Hashem's infinite. Man's finite. That means that compared to God, we're all infinitesimal. So it doesn't make a difference whether we're talking about Shubi or myself, or even the Vilna Gaon. We're all or the Chavetz Chaim, we're all of limited potential. We're all infinitesimal compared to God. So what does it mean to be B'Tselem Elokim? What does it mean to be in Hashem's image? So this is the one little bit of Meshekh Chokhmah that I promised you in the beginning. So Meshekh Chokhmah says on the pasuk, "B'Talmeinu Kidnusenu, Nasa Adam B'Talmeinu Kidnusenu." Let us make God, man in our image. He says the image of Hakadosh Baruch Hu is B'chira Chofshi. the ability to have free will, to make choices that are not compelled by the laws of nature. Just as Hashem is exactly who, capital W, Hashem wants to be, with all the so-called and so to speak in there that are necessary for that sentence to make sense, we too get to choose to be who we are. It's the one thing that makes us unique. A table, if you know things about the wood the table is made out of and the design of the table, you can predict how that table is going to behave to a large extent before the table even exists. Right? However, when it comes to people, people exist and then they decide what they're going to be. The Sartre said this. It may have been an idiom that you've heard before, but it's very hard to make sense of. With human beings, existence precedes essence. The fact that we exist precedes the essence of who we are. We get to choose who we are, which means that, right, our life is one of ascent, one of climbing a ladder, to borrow from a couple of weeks ago. All the growth that we have happens at what Rav Dessler calls the Bechira point, the decision point, where we're tied between the conflicting desires that we have in life. Have a battlefront, and when there's a battlefront, and we have one desire wanting to perhaps go back to sleep, and another desire that says, I should really stay up and do my, keep my weekly video going, so I could be forced to prepare to do the learning to prepare for these things. That conflict, right, means that the decision is conscious. It's a free will decision that I get to think about and choose. And that is exactly the point at where I grow. What makes me in the image of God is not what infinitesimal portion of his intelligence or his loving kindness or his glory or his honor that I could possess. What makes me in Hashem's image is the ability to choose the image we're in. Our greatest transcendence is the very ability to transcend, right? The thing that makes us most like God is not how high up we are, but the fact that we can ascend. We can be something better than ourselves. In fact, if you think of a sculptor, the best sculptor is not the one who creates the best sculpture because he has the perfect materials to make his statue out of. If anything, it's the reverse. The talented sculptor is the one who could make the best statue out of inferior product. It's all how we progress. It's not where we started from, what we progress from. And that is, in that sense, right, I can maybe understand a little more about why we wear tefillin than Shubi does. But Shubi goes to sleep making sure we're going to put on tefillin the next day. We all have our strengths, we all have our measure, and we all have our room for growth, which brings us back to the opening question. Vayeishev Yaakov Eretz Migurei Aviv. And Yaakov settled down in the land where his ancestors sojourned. So what was so terrible about a tzaddik wanting to settle down in this life, in addition to everything he's getting in the next world? Why was it bad that Yaakov wanted peace and quiet for a change? He went through Esav. He went through Lavan, right? Second, he wants to settle down. God throws him the whole business with selling Yosef. Why? Because a tzaddik can't settle down. A tzaddik has to be moving upward. If a tzaddik is to get that what is prepared for them in Olam Haba, the tzaddik constantly has to be growing. And the second he decides to be complacent, Hashem will unfortunately throw him a challenge. So that was my thought for this week. In case people are curious, the reason why the topic is what it is the event that I'm speaking at, the topic is Tzelem Elokim. And I noticed that nobody else was actually defining what aspect of being a person is the Tzelem Elokim. There was a much speak about how we are to treat other people because of Tzelem Elokim, how we are to have self-respect because of Tzelem Elokim. But I didn't see a single session about what is Tzelem Elokim. So I thought for the Shabbos morning talk on the Parsha, that would be my topic. I appreciate and I thank all of you for giving me an opportunity to practice my speech, hone it before the live audience. I hope anybody has questions, they'll leave comments on the video. I hope everybody enjoys the rest of the week and has a great Shabbos.